This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, Dunedin North MP David Clark has resigned as Health Minister. People visiting Dunedin Airport can now choose to learn more about local aviation. And a Queenstown hotel hit by COVID-19 is pleased to be opening its doors. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Health Minister David Clark has resigned from his role as Minister of Health. The Dunedin North MP announced his resignation this morning, following multiple missteps including breaching the government's own isolation rules and passing on the responsibility for repeated quarantine breaches.
Kia ora koutou. This morning I have formally tendered my resignation as Minister of Health, which has been accepted by the Prime Minister. Serving as Minister of Health has been an absolute privilege, particularly through these extraordinary last few months. It's no secret that health is a challenging portfolio. I have given it my all. But it has become increasingly clear to me that my continuation in the role is distracting from the government's overall response to COVID-19 and the global pandemic. You will recall that I offered my resignation during the Level 4 lockdown in response to mistakes I made in a personal capacity. The Prime Minister made it clear at the time that under normal circumstances she would have accepted that resignation, but she did not want significant disruption to the health system in the middle of an emergency response.
Despite his resignation as Minister, Clark says his political career is not at an end and he will stand for Labour in the Dunedin electorate later this year. Naseby's big draw card, the indoor curling rink, is now ready for visitors to the town. The Maniatoto Curling International Rink has been open for the season. The opening was delayed due to COVID-19 lockdowns and uncertainty over whether or not to keep the rink frozen. The rink now looks likely to make up for lost time and revenue. Organisers say they are receiving a positive number with social groups and corporate functions wanting to have a go. People visiting Dunedin Airport can now learn about the science of flight thanks to a new interactive display. The exhibit is part of a long-running promotion of the Otago Museum for passengers to enjoy while they're waiting for their plane.
Dunedin Airport Chief Executive Richard Roberts and Otago Museum Director Ian Griffin have a play with a flight simulator at Dunedin Airport. The public are invited to try out their aviation designs on this interactive exhibit while they wait for a real plane. It's the first of a series of new exhibits promoting the Otago Museum.
We've always had a display here, but we wanted to showcase some of the really cool things that are going on at the museum. So we've opened a whole bunch of new exhibits, including an amazing flight table which allows you to kind of play with how things fly.
Roberts says the upgrade to the airport displays was put together with younger passengers in mind.
Certainly for the younger generations, I think it's a bit more interesting now. And I don't know, let's see what we get from the feedback, but it's pretty cool.
And he's expecting there to be a lot more use of the interactive displays when the school holidays start next week.
Should be busy next week, a lot more jets flying in and out of the city, so yeah, anybody who's flying out, just come and take time to have a look. And if you're flying in and you don't want to get into Dunedin, which I understand you want to get there quickly, then just have a few minutes in here.
The Otago Museum is intending to add more features to the airport annex in the upcoming months, showcasing the science learning at the Otago Museum. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Southern cities could be used as isolation centres while New Zealanders continue to flock back home. Cabinet Minister Megan Woods says the government will investigate using hotels in Dunedin and Queenstown for returning Kiwis. Both Dunedin Mayor Aaron Hawkins and Queenstown Lakes Mayor Jim Bolt have said they would want stringent safeguards in place before their regions were used. There are 24 quarantine and managed isolation facilities, which will increase to 27 next week. The number expected in quarantine and managed isolation facilities is expected to increase to 6,500, with a top capacity of about 6,800. Despite being badly impacted by the fallout from COVID-19, one hotel chain still sees Queenstown as a place to do business. The new 227-room Holiday Inn Express opens its doors next Friday at a time when visitor numbers are drastically down on those experienced during the tourism boom of the past decade.
Opening during a pandemic sounds like a challenge, but the owners of Queenstown's newest hotel are confident they're making the right decision. The 227-room Holiday Inn Express opens its doors next Friday at a time when visitor numbers are drastically down on those experienced during the tourism boom of the past 6 or 7 years. General Manager Jason Sabin says, despite the global situation and the dour economic outlook, there are already some positive signs.
We understood that operating with a closed borders, local domestic market only would still provide its own challenges, but New Zealand is leading the world in terms of its management of the pandemic, and when they announced that domestic travel was permitted, it gave us the confidence to open our doors.
The 2-year, $60 million build, which at its peak had about 250 workers, covers a site bordered by Stanley, Sydney and Melbourne Street. Sabin says the company is pleased they've been able to create some jobs in the hard-hit resort town and is happy the hotel didn't open before the pandemic arrived.
Queenstown has sort of been quite hardly hit by the effects of the pandemic, and we found ourselves in a fortunate position to be able to support the community, and the timing worked out well for us to be able to employ people. At
first, the hotel will operate at just below half its capacity, but Sabin says it will look to expand its room offerings, particularly if a trans-Tasman bubble is established between Australia and New Zealand.
We're opening up 98 rooms first, and then as demand increases for our room types, we'll make more rooms available.
Owned by Australian developer Pro Invest Group, it's the company's first Holiday Inn Express branded hotel in New Zealand, a brand used by more than 2,400 hotels worldwide. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, the new Invercargill City Block development receives a makeover with the help of local community groups. And we have the latest edition of Global Insight with Professor Robert Patman, so see you after the break.
Hi, Lindsay Campbell. We're back in Invercargill again. We're here for a month. We've got a men's fashion clearance at up to 70% off. We're right beside the motorcycle Mecca. Check them out too. Jackets, lovely knitwear, scarves, hats, you name it, we'll keep you warm. Come and see us at the menswear fashion clearance pop-up.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
That's the Alex Campbell Menswear pop-up store in Invercargill.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Wrens are Otago's painting, tiling and plastering experts. Offering a free measure and quote, Wrens is a name you can trust to get the job done right. Call Wrens today on 477 9384 or visit wrens.co.nz.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Heaven Heaven Sent Pet Cremations knows that losing a pet is like losing a family member, and we have many special ways for you to keep their memory dear to your heart. From caskets, remembrance pendants to remembrance spheres. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today. If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Do you know Youth Grow in North East Valley? It's an awesome plant nursery where young people can work and learn life skills. You can now order your vegetable seedlings, herbs, bulbs and shrubs over the phone or by email. Either pick up your order on Norwood Street in North East Valley or they can deliver to you. Look for Youth Grow Garden Centre on Facebook or visit youthgrow.org.nz. Happy gardening!
Welcome back. Otago stands to benefit from the government's post-COVID-19 infrastructure fund, with projects worth more than $350 million earmarked for the region. Infrastructure Minister Shane Jones and Finance Minister Grant Robinson announced funding for 12 government-driven projects. Otago is set to receive the third largest allocation from the fund, with Minister Jones saying the region has been underrepresented in provincial growth fund spending. Colourful artwork now surrounds the Invercargill City Block development after the Invercargill community donated its creative talent. More than 120 community groups painted the panels, which are adding colour to the walls around the demolition site.
The CBD block in Invercargill, closed off for redevelopment, now has splashes of colour thanks to local artists. Invercargill Central Public Relations Manager Amy Hibbs says families, businesses, schools, early childhood centres and more have painted about 200 panels, of which 50 are already up, adding colour to the walls surrounding the worksite.
The intent of it is to involve the community and brighten up the block. They're going to be up for about 2 years. Otherwise we'd just have plain white panels, and definitely to involve the community as well and to showcase their talent and art.
About another 150 panels are still to go up on display around the block, and Hibbs says she's already identified a few of her favourites.
Oh, I love the variety. They're all completely different. And I love the Highland cow wearing a flower crown. That's definitely one of my favourites, but yeah, there's too many, I just can't possibly choose.
The new CBD block replaces an older building, which will be acknowledged in some of the panels still to go up.
There'll also be a heritage series, so they'll be going up around the block as well, and they'll feature some information about the building that had been demolished.
The remaining panels are set to go up in stages as the demolition progresses and there's need to ward off the site. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Indo-Pacific is the new code word for keeping China contained. It's an approach built on tensions between India and China, brutally evidenced in a recent border dispute, according to Professor Robert Patman. The international relations specialist told Global Insight it's significant that it's a phrase increasingly being used by New Zealand.
The reports of brawling soldiers and martial arts training on the India-China border sounds far-fetched, but it's actually true. What's going on?
Well, on the 15th of June, Bruce, there was a clash between Chinese and Indian soldiers in the Galwan Valley in the disputed Himalayan territory of Ladakh. And something like 20 Indian soldiers were killed and it's believed up to 6 Chinese soldiers were killed, and there were also casualties. Now this dispute, it should be noted that both countries, China and India, signed an agreement in the mid-90s not to use any arms or explosives. They're not equipping their respective militaries in this disputed area with that sort of equipment. But those sort of casualties were killed apparently by iron bars, stones and hand-to-hand fighting.
Beyond that dispute on that particular border, what's the state of relations between India and China?
Very tense. Both sides have disputes in that area, and there's quite a history to this. The two countries, as far as we know, they haven't had any casualties for 45 years or so in that area, but both countries regard this piece of real estate as strategically important, both economically and militarily.
Before this interview, we were talking about India and China, and you mentioned this phrase, Indo-Pacific, that I hadn't heard before. What's that phrase about?
A number of countries, including Japan, Indonesia, and increasingly the United States, have been referring to what we used to call the Asia-Pacific region as the Indo-Pacific region. China does not like the term at all and seems to be allergic to it and refers to the Asia-Pacific. Until recently, New Zealand, until 2008, I think in 2018, a New Zealand official referred to the fact that the term Indo-Pacific doesn't really resonate with the New Zealand audience. But by 2019, amid signs of growing tensions between New Zealand and China, not least after the Huawei episode in February 2019, there is evidence that New Zealand is now increasingly using the term Indo-Pacific.
And that reflects a shifting in our allegiances, or what?
I think, as always, New Zealand is trying to play a very careful game here, and it seems to be having some success in convincing China that it's still very much pursuing an independent foreign policy. In other words, I think New Zealand is trying to convey to China that it's not in the same category of Australia, which tends to take its strategic lead from the United States.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Kia ora rā.
And you can watch the full interview with Professor Patman online at odt.co.nz. After the break on The South Today, we have a look at the weather for Friday and the start of the weekend, so see you after the break.
Hi, Lindsay Campbell. We're back in Invercargill again. We're here for a month. We've got a men's fashion clearance at up to 70% off. We're right beside the motorcycle mecca. Check them out too. Jackets, lovely knitwear, scarves, hats, you name it, we'll keep you warm. Come and see us at the menswear fashion clearance pop-up.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
That's the Alex Campbell Menswear pop-up store in Invercargill.
Heaven Sent Pet Cremations knows that losing a pet is like losing a family member, and we have many special ways for you to keep their memory dear to your heart. From caskets, remembrance pendants to remembrance spheres. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. We have new items arriving every day. Visit us for a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Wrens are Otago's painting, tiling and plastering experts. Offering a free measure and quote, Wrens is a name you can trust to get the job done right. Call Wrens today on 477 9384 or visit wrens.co.nz.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Do you know Youth Grow in North East Valley? It's an awesome plant nursery where young people can work and learn life skills. You can now order your vegetable seedlings, herbs, bulbs and shrubs over the phone or by email. Either pick up your order on Norwood Street in North East Valley or they can deliver to you. Look for Youth Grow Garden Centre on Facebook or visit youthgrow.org.nz. Happy gardening!
Thanks for staying with us. Heading into the third week of Premier Club football in the South, Football Chat host Morgan Jarvis is joined by Green Island AFC head coach Shane Carville and Otago University AFC assistant coach Tessa Nicol. They take a look at the results from Saturday and check out some of the key matchups this weekend.
There were goals galore in the local SPL and WPL competitions in the weekend. We'll have a look at the results for the round two of the SPL. The odd game out really in the weekend was the 0-0 scoreline between Caversham and Dunedin Tech. Caversham understandably a bit rusty by the sounds of it because it was their first game of the season. It sounds like a pretty sort of tight affair on Hancock Park and that. Have you heard too much more about that game? Because, in fact, you might have Caversham.
Yeah, we're at Caversham this weekend. Yeah, and probably in fairness to Richard Murray from Caversham, it was like when we played Mosgiel the week before. You sort of don't really know where you sort of sit with your team until you get them out on the pitch and get them actually playing the game.
Northern had to make the tough trek up to Queenstown, and Northern, one of the teams that's heavily impacted by students out of town and that, so they suffered a bit of a hiding with Queenstown knocking in 6 goals each half up there. University club was struggling for numbers, and the seconds couldn't get a full team out on the field against Mosgiel, but hey, you can't blame Mosgiel for taking advantage of that. It sounds like it was a tight game at half time, just a couple of goals in it, but Mosgiel overran Uni in the second half. Bianca Park grabbing a hat-trick for Mosgiel and a 9-0 win. We'll have a quick look at the SPL table, and Shane, Green Island and Queenstown are the two teams with the perfect record at the moment there. I'm sure it's obviously still such early days, and Roslyn and Wanaka are both sort of winless at the moment, but they go up against each other this weekend actually, so no doubt there's going to be plenty of movement there. If we move across to the WPL there, Tessa, Dunedin Tech defeated Green Island 4-0. We're up 3-0 at half time. It sounds like Green Island may have sort of parked the bus in the second half, but I mean, what else can you expect? And they've got to take a lot of pride from being able to hold out such a talented team like that for almost half a football there, and I guess Dunedin Tech are going to have to keep discovering how to break teams down.
Yeah, 100%. I think obviously when you come up against a giant like Tech, it's always a very daunting game. They have obviously been leading the competition for so many years now, and yeah, I think mentally trying to get yourself into a place where you're going out to play a game like that can be really, really tough.
WPL round 3 fixtures. As we mentioned, Dunedin Tech have got the bye. University seconds up against Green Island. That could be an interesting one if Uni can get a full team on the pitch.
Yeah, it's always tough this time of year. I mean, usually uni holidays and things would be humming at the moment. So I think we're just kind of rolling with the punches at this stage.
So if we have a quick look at the round 3 fixtures that we've got coming up this weekend in the SPL, Dunedin Tech have got the bye. Big game out at Sunnyvale, Green Island up against Caversham. Thanks for joining us, and thanks again to McDonald's Dunedin. A big thanks to Shane and Tessa for coming in, and we'll see you again next week.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. Dunedin North MP David Clark has resigned as Health Minister, saying he's a distraction to the work that needs to be done. People visiting Dunedin Airport can now choose to learn more about local aviation thanks to a revamped exhibition. And a Queenstown hotel hit by COVID-19 is pleased to be opening its doors at a grand opening. And time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with the city view of one of the rainbow Dunedin flags around the city as part of Pride Month. Looking at the situation, cold southerly airflow dies out tomorrow with heavy frost likely, especially inland. Northerly airflow arriving on Friday will be comparatively milder. To the southern towns, plan for light winds and some cloud. The Catlins and Balclutha ahead for 9 degrees, Lumsden and Gore are both aiming for 10. Heading to Central Otago, you can expect light southerlies, fine in all areas. Wanaka and Queenstown head for 7. Alexandra should reach 8, while Tiana aims for a high of 10 degrees, but expect rain later for all of you. To the northern towns on the coast, Timaru and Oamaru can expect light winds and fine weather with a high of 10 degrees for both of you. Inland, those in Twizel and Marama can plan for light southerlies, clear skies with 8 degrees. In Dunedin, it's cold tonight with frost by dawn with an overnight low of -2. Sunny at first tomorrow, but high cloud increases during the day. It's going to be rather cool, looking at a high of 9 and a low of 6. Overcast on Saturday with light rain developing during the afternoon. Looking at a high of 8 degrees and a low of 6. And in Invercargill, frosty tonight with a really cold overnight low of -3. Cloud increasing during the day and rain developing later on. Looking at a high of 11 and a low of 8 degrees. And it's rain on Saturday morning, easing to showers. Looking at a high of 10 and a low of 8 degrees. And that's all from the South Today team for this Thursday. For the latest news from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 and the ODT on social media. Have a great evening. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.